Hello all, it's James Johnson, aka Sulphurblade. Welcome back to my channel, welcome back to my content, and welcome to Empyrion Galactic Online. So in this particular episode, I'm going to be doing combat trials for a unique ship. So this is not one that I completely built myself. Why does that make that unique? Because it was a shipwrecked freighter. Those of you who may or may not be familiar with Empyrion Galactic Online know that there's these POIs out in space. Points of interest. And one of the points of interest that you come across fairly frequently is called the Shipwrecked Freighter. That's this guy here. Obviously, my Shipwrecked Freighter looks a little bit different than the ones you're going to find floating derelict in space, as I needed to come up with ways to outfit it with enough weaponry to be a viable combat ship. But I believe I have been successful in my goal of refitting the Shipwrecked Freighter into what should be a viable combat ship. And that's what we're about to go check out. But first, before we do so, I'm going to take you on a quick walkthrough on what changes have been made to the Shipwrecked Freighter. So this is my entryway. It's simple, just an elevator. One of the first things you're going to notice is that this ship is pretty much all made out of Xeno now. In fact, the large majority of its front blocks have been removed. It was pretty much all steel, and now it's pretty much all Xeno. There is no gravity generator on this ship, so I'll be jetpacking myself around. So this ship generally comes with, I want to say, 2 decks inside of it. I pretty much ripped out those decks, which were steel, and I put in 1 deck. There's now 1 deck that separates, or well, there's 1 less deck for sure. So there's 1 layer of right here is plastic. So to keep the weight down, there's a plastic layer down here in between the exterior of the hull on the top and the bottom is just this 1 plastic layer. And to give myself the most area possible, I transitioned the deck downward on the hull to allow me to fit in what you're looking at. So what are we looking at? Up here is the very edge of where the ship normally is, the very front of it. And basically what we have here is steel block. Well, that's unusual. These are all steel blocks. Okay, well, in front of these steel blocks is Xeno, combat steel, and a little bit of heavy steel mixed in to try to keep the weight down. Here we have more combat steel bulkheading. Here we have hardened Xeno, hardened some combat windows with a basic large generator in here. And right in front of this block here is a large generator hanging off of the front of the ship encased in combat steel and Xeno. So basically there are 2 small generators up towards the front of this ship serving as decoys. Then you have the core room back here. The core room is forward of everything that is important in this ship. And there's quite a few layers of combat steel to have to get through in order to get to the core itself. These pipes, I believe, are carbon fiber, just to keep weight down for decorations. But yeah, there's a few pieces of hardened steel mixed around here just to keep any easy shots from the core happening if if a hole gets put into the side of the ship here. Then we have, we start to get into the valuable blocks behind the core. So, core destroyed before any valuable blocks can be. And the first set of valuable blocks is our shield room. Majority of shield equipment is here. Most all of your medium and small shield boosters have been crammed into this room. Then back here we have Core 9, CPU room, 2 superiors, 2 improved, 2 basics, 2 advanced, and 1 core. Well, the core obviously is forward out there with all the CPUs here. This is the bridge itself, where we'll be operating the ship from. These are just useless decoration crew. They don't give any CPU as of yet. And out here is our quick exit way to space to be able to loot and stuff of that nature. Okay, so that's how she looks. Now let's go ahead and deploy the guns so that you can get an idea what she looks like with guns deployed. Alright, guns are deployed. As you can see, they pop in all over the place. We've got 8 Gatlings on this thing. So 1 Gatling here, 1 Gatling here. This weird looking box back here is a couple of additional large shield generators, as well as some extra thrusters thrown in to try to give this thing a little bit more maneuverability. And this is going to be an additional location to fit these big ass triple plasma heavy cannons on. So future upgrade points right here for 2 more heavy plasma cannons to basically double the firepower of this boat. Just don't have the large upgrades. I have plenty of advanced upgrades, but I don't have the large upgrades as of this point in time to be able to stick them on. But for the Sunnat testing we're doing, we should have more than enough firepower to crush a Sunnat. So anyway, we have 8 GATs scattered around the place, set only to drones. They're not going to be shooting at anything other than drones. I don't want to waste 12.7 shooting at the Sunnat, for instance. It's pointless. We have 6 heavy lasers and 4 light lasers. That should be more than enough shield burning firepower to take down the shields on the Sunnat rather quickly. We have 2 normal artillery and 2 plasma artillery here to give us extra boom boom that I don't have to aim. And of course we have the big heavy plasmas that I will manually be aiming. That is the majority of the firepower on this ship. The most forward turret on the ship is a Gatling, and that's on purpose because Gatlings are obviously the least expensive of all of the things I could put firepower wise on. So, and then there's also a thruster stuck up here. So as I already showed you, there's 2 small generators up here in the front of the ship that will be dragging most of the fire. However, for anything set to thrusters, this will be the most forward thruster, which again will be dragging the fire, and this will be the most forward weapon, again dragging most of the fire. So I'm looking at a small thruster to lose, I'm looking at a Gatling gun to lose, and this entire nose, with the core being somewhere right in this area, is just here to be shot. There's nothing vital in here really, other than armor. It's just designed to just be a big sponge to take firepower. With everything, the large majority of the firepower being behind the core, back here, as well as most of the thrusters and everything else in the ship is aft of the core in this nose. So that's the concept behind this bird. And I thought when I came across the Shipwrecked Freighter that it looked like a perfect hull to be able to make a combat ship off of. So this is what I've come about doing so far to the Shipwrecked Freighter, and I think it's going to be pretty effective. That being said, let's get in the Shipwrecked Freighter at this point and try to commence these trials. So we're just going to take a look at her sitting here on the skiff, which is my makeshift carrier I've designed for her. Before we leave the skiff, I'm going to steal some of its pentaxid, probably. Fuel. There we go. Power on. So this is not a very fuel efficient ship by any means. Generators are going to peak a little bit right now as they get the shield fully situated. Generator wise, we have 1 advanced, 2 improved, and 2 basics in this bird right now. I might eventually put a small reactor in it, but at this point in time I haven't had the ability to do so. Alright, here's a look from the bridge. Fairly clear, but we'll do most of the driving from third person. Where are we heading? So I know where there's a Sunnat here in the system. So we're heading here, and hopefully we can avoid the destroyer running around. The destroyer would be more of a match for my ship, and I don't want a match, I want overkill. Eventually, when I get the extra heavy plasmas on this guy, this bird will be... What? Don't tell me there's missing ammo. There shouldn't be missing ammo. No, I should be totally good on ammo. Now, to find the Sunnat without running into the one we don't want to run into, which is the Empyrion, which is what we're heading at right now. I'm pretty sure the Sunnat is operating more above the planet. So we're going to head off in this direction. As you can see, we have some pretty decent forward thrust, at least, with those 2 big advanced thrusters back there. I think she's a pretty decent looking bird. I'm happy with how this conversion has turned out so far. Well, with the exception of all the Xeno blocks isn't the best texturing, but you're limited with the type of textures you can use with Xeno. That is probably maybe the one issue I have with the ship right now, is the look due to the Xeno texturing. But, you know, needs must. Well, I don't have to have it an entire nose of Xeno. I could have made it something else, but I wanted a nose of Xeno for the extra shield capacity. For those of you who may or may not be aware, every block of Xeno gives you an additional 7 points of shield strength. Compared to combat steel only gives 4. So Xeno is lighter than combat steel and more efficient at providing you more shield. So in a lot of ways, Xeno is really one of the most effective blocks for combat purposes, in my opinion. There are some ships that have heavy laser firepower, and those ships are going to have an easier time with Xeno because lasers are the counter for Xeno. So just be aware that this ship, well, I'm aware that this ship is mainly coated with Xeno armor, and therefore I probably would not want to engage a ship that is mainly a laser boat. But there is a fair amount of heavy combat steel up at the front anyway, so there's still combat steel dotted around the place to take care of the laser issue. Alright, so I have to be honest, I have not done a lot of fighting in this game. I have always been more of an explorer inside of Empyrion. Most of my fighting has been doing POIs, if you will. So the process of shooting ships is not something I do all that often. Alright. I don't know if the supply station is armed. Whoa, what was that? I don't know where the Sunnat's at. And what are those two? I'm taking fire from somewhere. Did the Sunnat go invisible? Oh no, I'm taking fire from the supply station. Alright, well, we've done a drive-by on the supply station. Okay, the Sunnat is way over there. How did that happen? So there is a problem in this game that sometimes things don't update as often as they should. I generally don't have problems with that. But maybe because I'm recording, I'm causing myself some additional issues. I don't know. I don't know what causes ships to go invisible for some people, and for them to then end up repositioning to strange locations, like what I think just happened to us. Are these drones? What is following us around here? I'm thinking they've got to be drones. Bandit browbeat. Oh, well, that's interesting. I don't know how strong a bandit browbeat is, but it might be just as good of a target to cut our teeth on, if you will. Oh, did I remember to bring the salvage core? That's a good damn question. I have no constructor on this ship. We can salvage normally. Can we? Can't imagine these bandits are that strong. Though I have no idea where the core would be in them. I think that one's dead. Is that one dead? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so our first kills have happened. They were not a Sunnat, as I expected. They were a pair of browbeats. Let's get out here and salvage if we can. I should have flown closer. You know what? I should. This ship does not have a lot of room right now for salvage. It barely has enough room for the ammo. Alright, we'll park her there. Guess we're going to connect to our small ammo box here. No salvage core, so I won't be able to pull these bolters off. Okay, well I guess that's to make sure you get the insignias when you destroy it. Doctor, medical. Not within range of logistics. Come on. So this is normal logistics. There's not improved logistics on this ship. Just trash the steel plates for now. Boy, I wish I had a salvage core right now. Oh, look at the loot boxes in space. Totally missed those. Oops. So these brighter blue ones usually are better loot than the other ones. So I'll always go after the brighter blue ones first, from what I understand. Alright, loot is starting to vanish. See, I'm going to have to put an advanced logistics on the ship. Small ions. They look like plasmas. Oh, look at that. Monsters. So I'm a bit of a loot goblin, if you will. I try to take it all. Yeah, great. Antenna. Yeah, I've never killed one of these before, so I have no idea what the loot is and where the loot is, and you know what I'm gonna find, what's important, what's not. You know, I don't have a salvage core to easily track through the boxes to see what's what. That's my bad. I should have came prepared, but I didn't. Thought I was prepared, but obviously I was not. plates. Yay. Okay. There's that other. Let's get over to the other one. I know I didn't get everything, but I feel like I'm on a time clock because I have no salvage core. Get a little closer this time so we're not. Should be good. Foreign core detected. What? Interesting. I better look out for those turrets then. They might actually shoot me. This object cannot be damaged with my current weapon. Really? Come on, quit floating around. Those didn't even attach to where I wanted them to attach. There's something wonky going on here. Alright, there we go. Hell? There's hitboxes getting in my way or something. Not expecting to find a farm on one of these. Insignia room. Where'd those steel plates go? I don't want them. They've been lost in the loot. Alright, I'm feeling like this particular husk has far less left on it. Yes. Did I see some boxes in space? If I did, who knows where the hell they are. Wait, is there a gun there? There's a gun there. Alright, not the most impressive loot in the world, but probably a good thing that we did these two, because now we know we're going to need to run back to the skiff and grab the damn salvage core. I think that's the #1 forgotten thing in this game. How many times have people forgotten their salvage core? I guess it wouldn't make it a real Empyrion video if I didn't do it. Alright, we're sitting here chewing through gas. This thing is a gas hog. Alright, hey, what the hell? Why can't I seem to lock target on the... let's do this a different way then. Registry. Okay, show galaxy-wide. There we go. Whoops. Stop wasting ammo. In fact, let's stop wasting gas. Power down the weapons. Right. It's fine. We're at the sun. Nothing's gonna harm us here. It's just a force of habit to spam the detector, which I need to put on a different set of weapons, well, its own group, so that I can spam the detector at all times. Little things I'm finding out through this test cruise, like that, for instance. That's why we test things. Alright, the skiff doesn't seem to be lined up properly, sadly. We don't have to land right now, do we? We just need to get near it. True. Oh, this is plenty close. Alright, let's just throw all this loot over to the skiff. Make sure we don't toss the ammo on the skiff. We probably should have put stuff that needed to go into the fridge in the fridge. Fridge, 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 fridge. Alright, fridge items have been put on. Put it directly on my person. Anything I'm forgetting? No, I think that'll have to do. Will it? Yes. So back to try to take on that Sunnat, which was the original goal. Okay, Amarat off to the right. One of those things I've sacrificed is a long-range radar to be able to, you know, put more guns on. I was even going to go without warp for a while on this thing. I decided it was just too much of a hassle. What is that? Oh, the cats are open up and on something. What the hell just fired at me? Do we have more bandits? I don't like where this Sunnat's at right now. Feeling wedged in between the Empyrion and it. Hopefully I can get its attention and it'll just follow me away from the station. Though that doesn't always work well. And it just vanished. Of course it did. So now where is it? I love this game. Okay, Mr. Sunnat, you see me. Now what is my situation? I've got supply station closer than I would like. And we're at 6K that way. Oh, shit. Yeah, that might help. So I'm doing a lot of damage to it that I don't actually want to do. I just can't seem to get an angle on the core that I'm happy with. So I'm just wrecking this thing. I'm getting a little low on. What is my situational awareness? Am I backing up into a station? Backing towards an Immerat. That looked like it was twigged. Alright, I'm getting good shots where I want. Was. We need to back out. Shields are down. Where are we? Defense satellite there. Immerat. wish I could fight it nose on instead of keep ending up behind it. Whoa, what the hell happened to me? I didn't realize I was down to 10% shield. Oops. I think this thing is pretty wounded at this point. What am I being shot from? An invisible ship. Great. Did the Empyrion decide to come help the Sunnat? And it's not loaded in for me. Sunnat's moving again? So it's basically disabled, but it hasn't been cored yet, I think. Oh, that's weird. I'm rubbing noses with it. Somewhere in that area should be the core. the hell? Situational awareness. What's going on here? It's got to be the Emerald invisible. As much shields as are being taken, and as quickly as they are being taken. Alright, so what's the situation? Right now we have a wounded Sunnat that has not been cored. I don't believe it has been cored, so it's not going to despawn. I can come back for it. So what I think I need to do is I need to restart. Or stop recording, which would defeat the purpose of this video, but I don't normally have invisible ships, so I'm thinking that something to do with the added latency of trying to record while playing is causing the ships to not update in real time correctly, which is pretty much what causes the invisible ships. So I'm currently seeing the Immarat somewhere over there, right? But the Immarat was shooting at me evidently, so it's invisible because I haven't updated its positional information. And in order to fix that, I believe I'm gonna have to respawn, or not respawn, but restart to load in the playfield correctly. Alright, I should be in a fairly safe-ish location. So we're going to attempt this maneuver. I have a slow potato PC, so this is going to take a bit. The Sunnat fight has not gone as I have wanted it to go. I was hoping to be able to, I don't know, have a bit more precision firepower through the nose to go after the core, but I haven't been able to line up on the Sunnat in a way in which I felt like I could do precision firing to destroy the core. So I think I've pretty much decimated the ship at this point and have destroyed a huge chunk of the loot, which is not opportune. Most of my weapons are set to generators, so we've chewed through a large portion of the ship to get to its generators. I do not have many of my turrets set to weapons themselves, so hopefully there will be a few weapons left on the hull, which is possibly the best loot you can get off this Sunnat, maybe? Alright, this loading portion should load everything in the system correctly. then it's just a matter of my game keeping track of where things are supposed to be. We might find that we now have a annoying Immerat destroyer circling our carcass. In fact, I'm expecting that's what we're going to find. Alright. So we are back in. Sunnat showing over there by the supply station. Maybe this was the supply station that was shooting us. Where is said Immerat? We are getting fairly close to that supply station. They are pretty close together there, it looks like. I don't know why the supply station would have been invisible for us. Okay, there's the Immerat. 3.8, 3.9 over yonder. Sunnat just changed its location. I love this game. Alright, let's slow down our approach. Where's the Immerat? Immerat is over there somewhere, 2.7 or so out. Right, I'm paranoid about leaving the ship, but I think I'm gonna. Alright. So the core is right in that combat steel. There's Xerax is alive and walking around here. surely we can just saw through the glass with a gun somehow. Yeah. Just worried about maneuvering and attracting attention. What are we shooting at? Alright, devices. Give me a... I can't really see. Gats, stop wasting ammo. There we go. Is it dead? I think it's dead. Alright. Lasers. Already. Leave the gats on. Take our salvage core and acquire our loots. And we are, of course, not close enough. Are you kidding me right now? Boy. I really needed better wireless on this thing. That is definitely going to be the first upgrade I toss onto this. This is incredible. really did tear this thing to death. You cannot pick up in my inventory. Are you kidding me? Why not? Player? Huh? Oh, I'm practically standing on top of the Cottontail. Wow, we did wreck this thing. Oh, come on. Alright, it's obvious I'm gonna have to reposition. Alright, we got a fair number of turrets, so wasn't a complete waste of time. And yes, we can't actually use these turrets, but we can deconstruct them for their mats. So if... Whoa, 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 whoa. The hell? Whatever it was hitting me like a Mack truck. It was had to be the Emirate again. This is going to be a pain in the butt. And I'm getting hit again. I am evidently flying past the Emirate. That is not showing where it's supposed to be. And we're burning through our gas. You know, I think we're gonna make a trip back to the star, to the skiff, unload what we have, as we have limited ability to storage ability anyway. And we'll travel back because our salvage core is on the Sunnat, so we should be fine. And the process of jumping back and forth should help render the location of that damn Sunnat. We're gonna grab some gas while we're here. Okay, this has not gone anywhere near as smoothly as I had hoped it to go. However, maybe this will be some, maybe this will be a useful video anyway to help people deal with What do you do when you have problems with invisible ships? Which was not exactly a topic I was expecting to make a help video on. Well, this wasn't supposed to be a help video. This was just supposed to be me showcasing the first combat flight of this new vessel I refit. The Shipwrecked Freighter. See how it turned out as a combat ship. Alright, so F4. Throw the loot into here. Bring up the skiff. Go to the harvest box. Just throw everything into the harvest box for now. No, not the ammo. Okay, and then oxygen's fine, Pentax it is low. We need to finish this operation sooner than later. I didn't bring enough Pentaxid along, did I? Not really. Okay. Okay, and there's the Empyrion now, supposedly. Where is our Sunnat rack? It's going to be over by that supply station by the manufacturing plant, which is near where the Empyrion's registering to be. So I'm pretty darn sure it was, in fact, the Empyrion that was being a pain in our backside. Alright, where's our loot? Ooh. Would the Empyrion have blown it up because I had my salvage core on it? I mean, maybe? I feel like we should have spotted the Sunnat by now. Is there a way to... through the registry find your... salvage core? I would have thought there would have been. We even in the right area? Okay. No, we were operating by supply stations, weren't we? There's a supply station, and there's the supply station. Well, I don't know what the hell happened to... No, we don't want to go in atmosphere. Definitely don't want to go in atmosphere. Where's our loot? I think the Empyrion blew it up. Or at least blew up the salvage core. We might have to call this a wrap. I'm not ready to tangle with an Empyrion. I mean, this ship is eventually going to be capable of handling an Empyrion, but I just don't quite feel like we're there yet with it. Have we taken some damage to the front? Looks like we might have. Okay, here's the 2 supply stations. I really thought the carcass was near one of these supply stations. Although there's that supply station up there. Maybe it was that one. Where did the Empyrion go anyway? There it is. I think we're done. I think I've given it the old college try to find the corpse, but it's not here. Which is really making me think the Imrat blew up the salvage core. We did pull off a fair amount of stuff before the Imrat chased us off, so I guess we're just gonna have to be happy with that as our payoff for the adventure. And the main purpose of the adventure was just to see how this ship could handle a Sunnat, and I think it handled the Sunnat without any issue. So it maybe handled the Sunnat too well. It blew the utter bejesus out of it. So with that being said, let's head back to the skiff. Where is the skiff? Must be down here. Yeah. We will load up and head back to base camp, where we will take a look at what kind of damage was done to the ship as a whole. I don't think a lot of damage. So now we have the careful docking maneuvers. So the next time I park the skiff, I need to remember to orient it. Because having an oriented ship makes docking a hell of a lot easier than having an unoriented ship. Well, if you're docking like me and you want to land at exactly the right location. Which I kind of need to do because there's not a lot of room on the skiff, if I'm blunt, for me to land this beast. The skiff is a rather small ship. It's barely capable of carrying this guy. Alright, so I'm gonna jump out and orient the skiff. Alright, no. Up just a little bit. Hey, stop that. Oh, not bad. Alright, turn off the ship. Actually, let's just check out the damage here. Pretty minor, actually. Of course. Tools. Part of block I haven't painted. Alright, and how about the rest of the ship? Forward turret. Oh, there's something underneath here. You're always going to have a little bit of random stuff that doesn't hit where it's planned to. about the big guns. Took a minor little bit. Oh, this is interesting. A fairly large amount of damage hit the arse end, if you will. This is white because it's temporary. Alright, so I did get smashed a fair amount in the butt at some point. I think it was probably that time. Son of a bitch. Gotta love when you do that. Yeah, it was probably that time when the shields went down and I was running away. When Empyrion was invisible. How much of this stuff we're repairing right now is because I was retrieving blocks instead of Ooh, this plasma turret was hit hard. Alright, so yes, there's repair stations in game, but I'm a cheapskate. I think we've got the majority of the ship pretty much refreshed. Besides, when you do it like this, you see where you're getting hit. And by being able to manually see where you're getting hit, you can then make judgment calls like, why was I hit here in the ass? Oh right, I was running away from an invisible Imrat. Not as big of a problem as if I somehow took a bunch of damage here and I didn't run away from an invisible Imrat, if you know what I'm saying. Then you can start to see, oh, well, I'm going to need to reinforce this location, as I don't want to lose important item X, Y, or Z, because you've gone through and you've seen kind of what transpired from the battle. And if you do this enough, well, after a couple of battles anyway, so you can get an idea or a picture of how the battle damage tends to affect your ship, you can reinforce locations that you might be weak at. So this is one battle. It might be too early to make any calls on where I might need to do some reinforcing, but I'm pretty happy with how she held up against a Sunnat. Obviously she's not yet gunned out to be dealing with an Imrat, but I'm eventually going to take this ship against an Imrat. She's just a bit undergunned for that type of operation, in my opinion. And I like to go into fights with, well, utter and complete overkill. Overkill is the only way. Oops. Wasting charges. Probably should have just retrieved it and replaced it. We had damage back in here? That seems strange. some of the stuff I'm fixing right now might have been stuff I never fixed originally from when the hull was derelict. Because I feel like some of these locations here would have been an unusual spot to have been hit. Alright, I think I'm satisfied with the amount of repairs I've done. Let's head home. The ship is fixed. Now we will go see what the loot deconstructs into from the Sunnat and see if we kind of wasted ammo to not get a worthy payout. So, you know, ammo costs resources. Ammo's not free. It's not cheap. It's, well, I'm looking at the ammo for the skiff, which is very different from the ammo from the yeah, skiff uses rather light ammo compared to the Cottontail. To remove that mark. I think I'm gonna drop off the Cottontail in space, or am I gonna take her down to the ground? I've pretty much got her pretty much built the way I want her. I can do any further things in space. I don't think I need to take her into atmosphere anymore to land. So yeah, I'm probably gonna drop her off at our space base. Parker over here by the other faction vessels. The skiff's a struggling. Granted, the skiff is how do I put it? She's a very unique vessel. She's capable of landing on upwards of 5G planets and getting off without much of a problem. She's generally energy neutral all the time, like you're seeing right now. She's not spending any energy. I love her. She doesn't look very fancy, but she's my own creation, my own design, and she works for the jobs I need her to do. And at this point, she's pretending to be a carrier. This is a job I'm going to want her to do more often, so I'm going to have to do some minor tweaks to make her a little bit better at this, obviously. Alright, so we are arriving at our faction's space base. That box you see is not actually a base, that's actually a ship being constructed. Pretty crazy ship. Alright, let's go ahead and stop the boat. We're gonna park here. I didn't really have to turn off thrusters, but it becomes a habit. Whoa! Alright, we're gonna park her behind the UNSC Paris. Over here in Space Dock. I could back up a little bit, level out. Yeah, this is good enough. Power down. This will be our new parking spot from now on. Here, I'll take you guys on a little bit of tour of some of the other stuff. So this is the Pillar of Autumn and the UNSC Paris. This is one of my faction mates' combinations. That's gonna be his combat ship. That's his. This is actually his everyday getting around ship. His carrier, if you will. I think it's a little on the big side for such purposes, but he's happy with it. This is a different faction mate's idea of a carrier. We've kind of nicknamed it the Floating Planet, as it's just huge. He actually wants to have an entire living arboretum in it. He wants trees and grass, and like this thing's gonna be loaded with grow plots, I think. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy construction that he's building here, and it does look like a giant box at this point in time, but I'm interested to see where he goes with it, especially with the idea of it basically having like trees and water and ponds and forests and grass and all of that as part of the deal. So it's going to be interesting to see how he pulls all that off. And where did I park? I'm around here. So where's the skiff? There it is. Alright, skiff is going to head down to our base, and we're going to toss those turrets and stuff into the deconstructor and see what we actually got for our efforts. Do be warned that I'm an American playing on an Aussie server. So this portion where I'm entering atmosphere and going down to the base oftentimes has a bit of a minor wait period to load stuff in. And that's purely because of the latency issue of me playing with about around 200 ping. 180 to 220 is the range that I seem to be at on this server. But all of my buddies are Aussies, and they get far worse pings to the American servers, so I'm the one biting the bullet. And here is the process of waiting temporarily for things to load in that I was referring to. And where it's come free. Oh, I lined up wrong. Am I looking alright, I think. And touchdown. down to our base. Start throwing stuff into the deconstructor here. Harvest controller. An advanced plasma thruster. I'm not going to deconstruct that. Medium plasma thrusters, I'm not going to deconstruct that either. Medium ions we can. Small ion. Ventilator, automatic door. All right. That'll do. Turn this bad boy on. Okay, so we got 2 superconductors there and 4 coolant. And a large upgrade kit, as well as some radiation shielding. Nice. Yeah, the large upgrade kits and the radiation shieldings are definitely making this adventure worth it. We're gonna be we're immediately gonna be able to upgun the Cottontail with 2 more heavy plasma turrets. And then I'll be able to call her, at least at this point in time, finished. I think she's a unique combat ship design because of the fact that she was a POI. She was a shipwrecked freighter, you know. She is essentially just a floating scrap of steel that got turned into a combat ship. And I think that makes her rather unique. Yeah, I'm quite happy with the loot that we got off the Sunnat. 20 radiation shieldings would have been a lot of runs of doing the abandoned factory. And the 26-ish superconductors, it looks like, would have been at least 1 or 2 deconstructions of the escape rocket on the dead planets. So, yeah, I feel like the Sunnat paid off well. And she could have paid off better, but we blew the utter crap out of her. So even with what was left of her, I think it was still worth it. Anyway, that's going to wrap up this episode of combat trials for the USS, or the EPB Cottontail, DDG 975. Hopefully you enjoyed the content. If so, please smash that like button, consider subscribing, and until the next time, all, peace.